Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Are you ready to level up your team skill development? Well, Ballology is here to support you in driving accountability and skill development. The Ballology app is more than just tracking. It's a resource for enhancing skills, knowledge, and mindset across your program. Join coaches all across the country using Ballology to simplify training and empower your athletes. Let's build consistency, accountability, and skill development together.
I've got to imagine that's just a different feeling than most coaches that are taking over a program, getting a starting somewhere. Most of the time it's because maybe it hasn't gone that well. Sometimes a coach can leave for something better and leaves it in a good place. Like they were 20-12 last year, 11-1 in district, correct? So but you're coming in with into a program where expectations aren't just to have fun and have a lot of numbers. Like it might be at another place the culture's been down. Like you said, what's it like coming in with that type of, not pressure, I don't look at it that way, and I doubt you do, but I guess expectation.
Well, the expectation is one, to make sure that we're making these young men into great student athletes. Two, getting them ready to, if they plan on playing college basketball, getting them to be coachable and buying in and just coming in working hard. When I say it's not really pressure, it's the expectation. The expectation is always at a high standard. So one thing that I can say is when I was offered the position, I pretty much told them that, it's my job to keep that example, that expectation, the standard, the tradition, and embrace the culture more than anything. It has been sometimes, I'll come home and I'll think about it. I'm like, man, I really gotta push it if we're trying to make these young men into great basketball players. So I won't say that it's a lot of pressure, but I do say that the expectation is there and the standard is there. I just need to make sure that I uphold to it and keep my end of it as a head coach to make sure that we're making the right strides in our workouts off season. During the season, we need to make sure that we're doing things that we need to do as a staff to put the young men in the right place to be successful.
I think every coach has to show up each day giving their very, very best for their program. I would imagine when the players, the parents, the administration, when the culture is we win and we make deep runs, and that's what we're about. Man, what a great motivation to show up and be your best every day. Because I'm not saying that coaches that maybe are at a program that doesn't have a winning tradition, that they have days where they don't have to be their best. I don't think that standard really matters, but the motivation to be that, to bring that every day, man, I could see that for you for sure.
Yeah. Being eager to want to grow as a coach, to want to teach young men to be better men and better players, and let them win at something in life. A lot of kids, they hadn't won a state championship, been a part of something special for us winning. And, the thing about it, I tell basketball is supposed to be like life lessons. Playing basketball is supposed to help you with life skills. If you win and compete in everything in sports, you're going to do the same thing in classrooms. You're going to want to make the best grades. When you outside of basketball, if you go to college, you're going to want to make the best grades. You're going to always compete. The guys that work hard are the ones that get promoted. That's what I always tell them. If you're working for someone and you're just doing what's required, I'm pretty sure you're not going to get promoted. The guy that goes beyond what's being asked of him, he's the one that gets promoted.
Man, what a great reminder to continue to connect basketball to off the floor skills, successes. I think I've been guilty so much of, like, we get 43 minutes a day for skill work in our athletic period. And I'm so guilty at times of just coming in and it just being all about the ball, all about the game. And then there are moments where, and I'm not trying to, toot my own horn here, but this morning there was an NHS induction, National Honor Society, and we had 5 basketball players that were a part of that. And it would have been really easy for me just to, hey, like that was in the morning, we're in basketball, hey, let's pray, break, let's get out of here. But we did celebrate those guys. We took a picture with them. will put that on social media, and it's something that has nothing to do with how good of a player they are. I'm telling you that as I think I failed in that a lot. Maybe today was a win, but for your program, you want it to be more than just about basketball. And it sounds like, man, you're doing an awesome job with that.
Yes. Well, that's one thing that when they hired Miss Willard and Coach Gates, when they hired me, as well as Mr. Wright, you're a student first, then you're athlete second. You're not doing basketball 12 hours out of the day. You're in the classroom longer than you are at a workout or practice. So I always just try to let them know that I want them to strive for greatness. We talked about this the other day. Better, good, great. When you think about better, you already know it's something that you need to do what? You need to work on. When you become good, okay, you know what? I've reached a plateau, but now we want to be great. So we want to do what? We want to master something. So I tell the guys all the time, if you have that mindset, I don't think you will fail. But if you have low expectations, well, that's going to carry you throughout life to where you're just going to always just really not have high expectations. I want everybody to have high expectations. I ask all the guys to at least have an 85 average or above. And, I know that's not going to happen all the time, but, we make sure that kids have study all once a week. They have to do progress. We do progress tracking with the grades. I go around every day on my planning period to go by and talk to teachers. I stick my hand in those classrooms, say, hey, I point at him. How is he? Coach, he's doing fine. Great. Well, how's he doing? Well, Coach, he's been talking a little bit, and I just kind of give them that stare. They kind of know what that means. That's
You don't want that stare to turn into something else.
Right. But at the end of the day, at the close of any of our workouts, when I'm talking to those players, the last thing I tell them before we leave is that I love them. I love them. And I said, whatever that we do in here working out is never personal. It's only to make you better.
That's really good. I kind of zoomed in right now because I think that is something that we say it. You can say I love you, but our actions have to show that, because the words, they'll fall flat after a little while, especially if our actions don't line up. To me, a big difference between having a bunch of rules in your program and then having standards. Rules, man, people want to break those. Like I tell the guys all the time, I hate stop signs. I think stop signs are dumb. I think they should all be yield signs. Like, I'm an adult. I can just kind of see nothing and just glide through. But you know what? Those stop signs are there, and I better follow those rules. But my heart wants to break them. Standards, though, are things that we are trying to achieve, and that a level that we're trying to get to and uphold. And I think if you would say everybody has, like, I guess UIL says this, everybody has to pass to play. Guys, if you're not passing, you're not going to play. Like, I get that, but that means that what, 71, 72, like some guys are just trying to get that 69.9 so the teacher rounds up. Like that's a low bar. Coach, you say 85 and above, and you're sticking your head in the classes and you're holding them accountable. That's a high standard. And even if they fall short of that, they're still way above the bare minimum that I think rules that kind of culture creates, in my opinion.
And this is what I tell them. I said, when you're getting recruited by a college coach, he already knows that you can play. That's why he's at the school. And when he comes in, the first thing, if he hadn't already received it, he's going to want what? A script. And if he sees that your transcript is full of C's, well, he's going to ask, well, Coach, what's going on? Is he missing a lot of days of school? Or you don't want to be not able to attend a certain university based off of your academic standpoint. Now, everybody can't get into a Vanderbilt or a Yale or Brown, places like that. You have certain schools where certain admissions that they have to go through certain requirements you have to meet in order to get accepted. Well, I wouldn't want one of our student athletes to be, not selected to a certain university to receive the basketball scholarship due to the fact that he does not have the academic standpoint that he needs to be accepted in admissions.
That's a really good point. And I think letting our players know, one, the extreme game of musical chairs that college basketball is. I've told guys there's one chair and there's 75 people walking around it. And when that music stops, only one dude's getting that chair. That's an extreme game. And you want to have all of the doors open and as many possibilities open as possible. And I think the thing that closes doors more is the academic side. I'm at a small Christian private school where majority of guys that come here, the place that they're really looking to play are the high academic D3 NAIAs. But even like at that point, they have to have their grades at a certain level or else those doors are closed. And I think what a great goal is to let your players know that they want to have the most opportunities.
Well, and speaking of what you talked about Division III as well as NAIA, and even some Division II schools, sometimes, a coach will say, hey, I have a partial basketball scholarship. Coach, what is his grades? What are his grades like? Maybe we can get him something academically. And guess what? A lot of times his grades might not be where they need to be. And that's a hurtful feeling. Yeah. And that's why, I explained to them, I said, when you go to college, whatever grade you make, it stays on your transcript. It's no moving that off. I said in high school, you can retake that course and they go with a higher grade. And that other grade that you made falls off. So I said it's really good to start off with a great academic foundation and, wanting to, and having structure when it comes to your education, going to study hall. And this is the reason why that we implemented this. They've been doing it previously before I even became the head coach here at the great James Madison High School. So, the structure of that for the academic base has been set. I can't recall them losing an athlete to academic reasons for his ineligibility, for his not meeting the requirements of UIL. But to piggyback what you talked about, every kid's not going to make an 85. I'm a realist. I was not good at math. Algebra was not my geometry. That was something that I was not really good at. So like I tell, just do your best, make sure that you pass that course. And, most kids will let you know, like, hey, coach, that's not my strongest subject.
Yeah. But that's what John Wooden said. I think he nailed it with his definition of success. It's not getting to 85 all the time, but it's that peace of mind knowing that you did your very, very best. But again, I don't feel like players get to that point if the standards aren't that high. And what we're really talking about, coach, is being truth tellers. We're not just telling them, hey, stay eligible so you play, so you can play this year. And that's a set. However you can do that, just make it happen. That's short term. And what I believe will happen for a lot of guys is one of the worst things as a parent, worst thing as a coach is when you see your players have regret that they did, because there is a point in this, like maybe from day to day, you can make adjustments with your shot. You can get in the weight room and that can fluctuate over time, but you can't go back when you're a junior and redo things as a freshman. You can't go back as a senior and increase your GPA. Like you can't, there's no time machine. And that, man, seeing that regret in those players, like that's motivation in me to be a truth teller, because I don't want them to have regret or one day even say like, coach, I wish I would have known.
Yeah. And that's what happens a lot of times. Previous players that I've coached in the past, they always come back like, oh man, and it normally happens in their late 20s.
Yeah.
They'll tell you, oh coach, I should have did this, I should have did that. And that's why I constantly remind these guys, man, these years are going to go by fast in high school.
Yeah.
Do your best, make the best of it. What are you going to be able to tell your children about your high school, about what you did and accomplished academically or as well as athletically? Everybody's not an athlete, but guess what? You can make good grades, run for student council. It's so many different things that you can do within the school. Even if you're not an outgoing person like that, you still should be trying to set the bar high for yourself to make good grades. And like you said, the academic standpoint, I don't think kids understand how important it is. Because even when you go to college, you have so much structure, you really don't have a lot of free time. I say all this freedom that you have right now in high school, you don't have that. Your day is mapped out for you. 6 o'clock weight room, 7 o'clock breakfast, 8 o'clock class, 9 o'clock class, 11 o'clock, you might go to study hall. After study hall, guess what? You have lunch. Then you might have an evening class. Then coach calls practice. Then you have film. Then you might have to go to another study session, one-on-one tutoring. Well, about time you make it back to the dorm is what? 8:30, 9 o'clock. And you have to repeat that all over again. So I ask them all the time, do you actually want to play college basketball?
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.